There's going to be a bad economy? Probably. You will pay for the tariffs. Here's proof. Yeah. The trade war that we are going to have with China is going to be biblical. Man, it's not going to be good. Americans stand to lose between $46 billion and $78 billion in spending power each year on products, including apparel, toys, furniture, household appliances, blah, 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 blah. If anything, I really think that these analysts are underestimating how impactful these tariffs are going to be, because it's not just about these products costing more as we buy them. It's also about other countries now being incentivized to respond with their own tariffs, which means that we'll have a harder time selling our stuff overseas, which means that they're going to, like, it's not just like the immediate consequence, it's about the long-term trade war. Do you think there's any chance the trade war will lead to the Chinese economy collapsing and seeing the ousting of the CCP? China is much more capable of weathering this than we are, because China is a largely poor country that is capable of developing its own internal manufacturing base. The United States isn't. Like, China is more stable economically in the sense that they have the ability to produce their own needs, whereas we don't. That's my guess, at least. For example, a $40 toaster oven would retail for $48 to $52 after the tariffs. Again, this is like a massive underestimation. If you have a $40 toaster oven that's like imported, so it gets hit with the tariffs, corporations aren't going to increase the price by just 20%. They're going to take a little bit off the top. After all, the tariff is something they have to pay. They're not going to accept a lower margin of profit on the product that they're selling. So it's going to go up. They're going to make at least a proportional profit. And if history is any evidence, they're going to want more than a proportional profit. They're going to want to increase their profit by increasing the price beyond even a proportional increase relating to the amount they're being charged in the tariff. Stuff made in America is going to get more expensive too, even if its entire production line is in country, because why would they miss out on the chance to raise their prices? Like, why would they leave that money on the table? They can just raise their prices. A $2,000 mattress and box spring set would cost $2,128 to $2,190, the NRF said. This is absolutely wrong. What? That's not even a 20% bump up. It's going to be more than that, man. You're being a little optimistic here. You're lowballing it, if anything. Now, Trump has said he plans to impose a 60% tax on goods from China and a 10% to 20% levy on all of the $3 trillion in foreign goods the U.S. imports annually. Shoo! That's crazy. These policy steps would amount to regressive tax cuts, only partially paid for by regressive tax increases, about $1,700 increased tax a year. I think that this is a wild underestimation. I'm not an economist, but the numbers are not adding up to me. I think this is the most, like, insanely optimistic, like, what if everything stayed the same and no corporation took advantage of this to gouge their prices kind of answer you could possibly get. Like, this is, to me, a massive lowballing, you know? He said he's going to have a 100% tariff on Mexico. No, my huarachas. Where am I going to get my beautiful woven leather sandals? He said he would set a tariff of 25% on the country's largest trading partner if it didn't close the border, ratcheting up as high as 100% if that didn't work. Mexico can't close the border. They have their own problems. What does that mean? America can barely secure its own border, and we have, like, way more money than Mexico does. How is Mexico going to secure their own border? Start stocking your coffee, bros? Oh, yeah. Well, coffee beans don't last that long. Ready for, like, disgusting American-made coffee that costs 10 times as much? You can freeze them? Okay, I guess that's true, yeah. I've never frozen coffee beans. I guess that works, yeah.
Former President Trump is proposing steep tariffs on imports if he's elected.
Now he's suggesting a bold plan to use that tariff money to replace income taxes, but does it add up? Well, Pat Kessler is here.
Look, if he gets rid of income taxes, I'm going to benefit a lot from that personally, so I just want all of you to know that I am a class traitor when I oppose this plan, okay? Just want you to know that, okay? This is me. This is a level of solidarity that is essentially unrivaled in all of human history, okay?
Here with a reality check.
Yeah, I think this is what we call the closing arguments of a campaign. Trump is already promising to eliminate taxes on tips, on overtime pay, and on Social Security. Now he is toying with the biggest tax cut of all, no income taxes.
It's the most beautiful word. This country can become rich with the proper use of tariffs.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income?
Really smart of Donald Trump to wear a yellow tie to this. Joe Rogan's audience has a strong, like, alt-libertarian bent, wearing a yellow tie rather than the red tie. Less formal, like, spotted tie, that goes a long way, I think, towards like grounding him in this place.
Of
The yellow
tariffs. It'll
5
keep-
dyed
Just
tie.
float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs.
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure, but why not?
Well, a tariff is a tax on every foreign-made item that comes into the United States, like cars and clothing and computers and cheese. Trump says he got the idea from the economy in the 90s, the 1890s. The U.S. had no income tax then, and it put heavy
Back when Americans were famously doing really, really well.
tariffs on foreign goods as a way to fund the government and protect American business. Trump says the money from tariffs could be enough to pay for the government and abolish income taxes. But virtually every economist, conservative and liberal, disagrees. In fact, the U.S. imports about $3 trillion in foreign goods every year. It collects $4.2 trillion annually in income taxes. Raising tariffs usually means retaliation from other countries. It hurts imports and exports. That's not a good thing. So here is what you need to know. The tariffs of the 1890s caused huge price hikes, widespread civil unrest, and a depression. That is how we got the 16th Amendment to the Constitution, which established an income tax for the very first time in 1913. So not a lot.
We're about to learn some historical lessons all over again very quickly. Or maybe not learn from them. Maybe we're just going to suffer from some unlearned historical lessons very quickly. Acme has switched production of certain medical products to India, Egypt, and U.S. plants in Florida, North Carolina, and Washington State, the executive said. Is there any chance he actually does this? I don't know, maybe. Any chance at all? Sure. Results have already started. This is from an American woman today. My husband works for... This is like a made-up story, probably. My husband works for a small manufacturing company, and here in southwestern Pennsylvania, that means most employees are Trump voters. When the president of the company sat them down to tell them their annual Christmas bonus will not come this year because they now need to purchase at least a year's worth of products prior to January 21st due to the proposed tariffs, they did not understand. My husband said that their president had to explain what a tariff is and how it will directly hurt their company. They all thought the foreign company paid the tariff. To be fair, the average Trump supporter definitely thinks that, like, China pays the tariff. Yeah. This is the level of ignorant voting against their own interests here in Pennsylvania, where we failed American women and children. Whether or not the story itself is fake, which it probably is, the underlying sentiment is definitely true. The average American probably thinks that China pays that, you know? I wonder if Democrats would have had an easier time fighting back against Trump if rather than saying that it was a 20% tax, they had called it a tariff so that they could actually, like, use the terminology correctly. But then it said that, like, he wants to skyrocket prices. He wants to skyrocket inflation. Like, rather than believing, like, the Americans don't know what a tariff is, so we're going to call it a tax and then attack it on that ground. I wonder if it'd be better if they did that. Can't really say. Well, Vaush, even if China did pay that, it would just raise their price by an amount of the tariff. Yes, of course, 100%. Like, China would just then implement policies that would rake that money out of the corporations that are selling. But, like, at the very least, it's one abstraction closer. Maybe people would be able to understand it a little better. Yeah, different paths.